we got to get this one out of the way first. So let's talk about Joker. Let's talk about your thoughts on it.
Joker.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that film. Ever.
Yeah, what movie is it? Apparently, there are no other films that were playing at TIFF other than Joker.
I will say that was probably the hardest ticket to get at TIFF. Like the premiere night, the tickets for that were gone over a week in advance.
Holy shit! Really?
And even the press and industry, they announced 2 press and industry screenings, and Scotiabank, if no one has ever been to TIFF, Scotiabank is their version of AMC, but the theaters are massive. Like they're like 500-seat theaters. They're like the Music Box for reference, right? So 2 of those, and people were lined up waiting to get in a Joker an hour and a half beforehand for 2 different theaters happening at the same time. They were both happening at noon. But yeah, Joker was it was the talk of the town, and it remained the talk of the town for days after.
Was it because the movie was good, or just because of like all the publicity around it?
I think both.
Okay.
Giving away my hand, but yeah, I think both. I think it was just that film touched a nerve that and it's still touching a nerve that I've not seen ever.
Really?
It's just the people who came out of that film either loved it or hated it, and there was no in between. And I don't know. I kind of
Your review seemed in between when I read it.
Yeah, it was. I think I gave a 2.5 out of 4 to it. And that's where I was I didn't write about it immediately. I took a couple of days to think about it. I know a lot of people had instantaneous visceral reactions to it, and I wasn't there. I was more I don't know, I guess not. I don't want to say philosophical because that means they weren't, but I don't know. I didn't have an immediate reaction to it. I thought it was a very complex film. I think some people don't think it's complex, but I think what it was, the conversation around it was very complex, and I wanted to get it right, quote unquote, get it right. But yeah, you could have, if you were sitting in the screening, you could have turned to one person who absolutely hated it, turned to another person who absolutely loved it. It did get an ovation, a slight ovation, probably about 30%, which is very rare in a P&I. It's incredibly rare in a P&I. Last year, at least the films I went to, there are only 2 films last year that got standing ovations during their P&Is. One was Roma, and the other was Green Book.
What?
Yep.
Well, so that tells you how much an ovation means.
Green Book got a standing ovation during its P&I. And it is still that was the moment. No one had any expectations. No one knew what Green Book was. That was the moment everyone kind of looked at each other and was like, this film might be something. It might go on to win a few Oscars. No one thought Best Picture, but some people thought, oh, maybe Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and maybe Screenplay or something like that. But yeah, that got a standing ovation. Joker got I say 30% of the crowd stood up and cheered at the end. And the film in itself is just visually fantastic.
Yes. Now I gotta ask: is this movie a Scorsese ripoff with clown makeup? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes, but you know what? It does the ripoff very well.
So it has its own voice. It's not just straight up ripping something off like that scene from It Chapter 2 where they lifted the scene from The Thing where the guy's head comes off and the tentacles come out. Like it's actually its own voice. And it creates something from itself.
Yeah, it does feel like its own voice. I do think Todd Phillips. I
was concerned when I read he was directing. I'm like, the Hangover guy.
Yeah, I would say the weakness of that film comes from Todd Phillips not fully exploring and inspecting the character. That's what I think the weakness of it comes from. But does it have its own voice? Yeah, it does. And like I said, it's visually stunning. Some of the cinematography in it is just amazing. For some reason this year there have been a lot of I've been about 4 or 5 films where they've just been using 360 pans a lot, and that's one of them. And there are moments where just the camera's just panning around Joaquin Phoenix. I know a lot of people were like, well, it's just maybe a ripoff of The Master, or even he did the same thing, and you were never really here. And I'd say that the broodingness of the character is the same. The I don't want to say antisocial, but just just the outsider.
Sort of like the autistic spectrum of him in a way.
Yeah, but you know what? But I will say, I do think that's stopping short. I do think he's so stiff and masculine in every single one of his performances, but here he's just so limber. He's so loose, and his movements are almost poetic. They're almost like there are so many moments where he's just dancing. It's almost like a ballet.
Yeah.
And the camera just softly swirls around him, and it's just amazing. And Joaquin Phoenix, if for nothing else, that film is worth seeing for Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. And
the visuals. Now, like I said, where the script goes, I do think there are some portions, like I said, that should have been teased out more. I do think the mental illness portion could have been teased out. I do think there should be some wariness by anyone when they start connecting mental illness with violence.
Yeah. Do you think, because as someone who has, I have a fascination with films about mental illness, and I've been making a documentary for a countless number of years about mental illness. Do you think it mishandles mental illness in a way, or because you said it correlates with violence? Mm-hmm. So how does it specifically correlate with violence without, I guess, giving away the plot?
Well, I don't know. I would say,
like, does it simplify his disease? Because I know he has like an uncontrollable laugh in the film that he can't help.
I don't think it simplifies it. I think it unnecessarily exploits it.
Yeah.
And I think, I think the mental illness portion really comes down to whether you think he's a hero or whether you think he's the villain of the film. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was split. It was I found people who did not think he was the hero of the film, but I did find people who thought he was, and if they thought he was, and they thought that they had mishandled the mental illness portion. Yeah, I mean, without giving it away, the impetus for his violence is his mental illness, and I guess the world's reaction to his mental illness in a way. Yeah. So
I see. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a film where they kind of already have strong reactions without it even coming out. Maybe too strong.
I don't want to accuse of anyone of being like not completely sincere in their thoughts, but some people it did kind of feel like on the ground like had kind of made up their mind already before it even played, and both ways too. Both ways of like they were going in knowing they were gonna love it, or going in knowing they were gonna hate it.
Sorry.
I didn't catch that. No, I mean, yeah, I do think there are people who went in both ways, and then there were people who just really were antsy about it. Like there was a mood going into that screening. You could just feel the tension in the air.
Wow.
And I've never had that before, ever. And I do think what's great about the film may not be the things that the film's not trying to do, but it may not be the film itself. I do think it's pretty amazing that a major studio released an awards contender that they knew was going to be divisive. And you do, especially a comic film, you do not get that very often. So many films play it safe, especially the Marvel stuff. Not to do Marvel versus DC.
No.
Because DC can also be that way. But like, there's just something, I don't know, there was something refreshing about someone taking a chance, even if that chance they utterly failed. So there's always a part of me, we've talked about Cloud Atlas a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that loves big kind of failures, you know?
Yeah. And if you're gonna make a film, then take a chance.
Yeah.
Be like Coppola with Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it on Coppola level, but
okay, not Coppola, but you know what I mean. Like, there's that great quote from where he said, fuck it if you're being pretentious. go for it. Because there's nothing worse than being pretentious. Everything that you do then is shit, it's scum. You know, but at the end it's like, but you want to kind of go for that level.
Yeah.
You want to go big. Because if you're because the one thing that annoys me with a lot of movies is when they don't take that chance.
Yeah.
When they kind of dance around a subject, or they dance around what they're trying to say, and it's like, no, just go for it. Because either way, people are gonna like or hate your movie, or they'll be in between. But I'd rather have someone have an extreme reaction to my film than to just see it, walk out the theater, and immediately forget about it.
And I think, and I said this I said this to Andrea Thompson.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know Andrea Thompson, she writes for the Reader, and she also has her own website, A Reel of One's Own. Shameless plug. But
we're all here to help each other. We're all here for the community.
But I told her, I was like, I think no matter what, this is a film we're going to be talking about for the next 20 years.
God damn.
Like I do feel, and I really want to know. It's almost like for me, and I don't want to put them on the same level, but it's almost like The Last Jedi for me, where I really want to see what the conversation about this film is going to be in 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
I want to see what it's going to be like outside of the storm that it was kind of brought in, and judged on the film as a film in itself, because it feels like sometimes that the movie wasn't being judged as a film in itself. It was being judged in the context of the conversation.
Where's Batman?
Yeah.
But it's. I think so. Do you think this is one of those movies you'll have to see again? Because when you're a critic, you kind of have to give your review right away after you see a film, and then it's like you gotta let it fester. You have to see it again. You have to understand it.
I did immediately want to see it again. The second I was like, you know what? I don't know what I think about that film. I might completely hate it, but I want to see it again. I do think it is a film that welcomes rewatching.
Yeah.
Even if you might be, well, actually, no, I don't want to say even if you might be triggered, because never rewatch if you're triggered. Never.
I was triggered initially when I saw Clockwork Orange. Actually.
Oh, really?
I was absolutely sickened by it, and then I saw it a second time, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, maybe if you're
you don't know, but it depends how you're triggered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you go in with an agenda, then maybe. That's different. If you go in like, oh, I'm gonna hate this film. Well, I'm gonna go in and be like, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. And fuck Marvel or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like, I want Joaquin Phoenix to get an Oscar so he could be in because everyone's comparing Joaquin Phoenix to Heath Ledger.
I would say his performance is completely separate. I don't think there's any portion of his performance that you could say, oh yeah, Heath Ledger. There's like one shot that I thought, oh, that's Heath Ledger. They stole that from The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
This isn't give. No, actually, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind.
Okay.
It kind of is. But no, there's one shot that like when you see, you're like, oh,
what the hell?
That's a very famous shot.
Yeah, I think that's all. So you know what? We talked about the Joker, and there's absolutely nothing else at TIFF. So thank you everyone for listening.